Welcome back to another episode of Hockey North Weekly. I'm your host, Tyler Lizotte, here with my good friend brendanpawliw. Brendan, how are you doing today?
Good. It was the last weekend before the Christmas break in terms of our schedule, so nice to get the last bit of games in with the Northern Capitals and the Caribou Cougars. We threw in a Christmas party in there as well, so lots of time spent with friends and colleagues, not only at the rink, but at other people's houses as well, so it's nice to kick off the Christmas break in a bit of a festive way.
Yeah, very well said. A busy weekend here at the Kin Center and CN Center as we kicked off with the Caribou Cougars and Northern Capitals alumni games on Friday. It's really cool to see a lot of these alumni players coming back, taking pride in the program that they, grew up in, developed in, and seeing those old friendships and those bonds being rekindled. You got to see the current 2024-2025 Northern Capitals roster face up against one of their coaches, assistant coach Sidney Jordan, and the rest of the alumni, plus former teammates. And, it was a really cool experience, I think, for the players. But overall, it's, good to be a part of it. And Teddy Bear Toss was Saturday night for the U18s. And Brendan, what an experience.
Yeah, Rylan Bissett sent the Teddy Bears flying less than 5 minutes into the game, en route to a 6-2 win for the Caribou Cougars. Caribou was up 2-0. Jack Tidsbury was the first star in the game, putting up 2 goals and a helper. And I have to say, even though the Cougars did win by 4 on Saturday, Thompson gave them all they could handle through 40 minutes. Thompson came back from 2-0 down. It was 2-2 for a good chunk of the second. And it was tied after the second intermission, and it had not been for Andrew Kligas, Thompson could have easily been leading in that game in Kinwon on the Saturday. And then penalties took over. Power play got hot again for Caribou. 4-goal third period en route to a 6-2 victory, and Caribou taking game 1 of that doubleheader. And Sunday, a lot more domination in regards to the Caribou side, winning 10-2 over Thompson Blazers in the CN Center. You had Nicholas Gordon with 2, Rylan Bissett with 2, Miller Tedesco 2 goals, 2 helpers. I believe there was like 5 or 6 players that had 2 points or more for Caribou in the game. So a pretty balanced lineup, pretty balanced game, I guess, in total for Caribou as they continue on their winning ways heading into the Circle K coming up at the end of next week.
Yeah, a very good weekend overall. And touching on Thompson, heading into this weekend, Thompson did recently win 2 games, and they went to 2-18 on the season. And of course, the record isn't looking very favorably for the Thompson Blazers, but they did display a lot of resiliency and skill, like you said there, in the Teddy Bear Toss game. And unfortunately for them, things kind of fell apart there early in the third period. Jack Tidsbury came in huge, and it really seemed like the Caribou Cougars had that wake-up call in the second period, knowing things weren't going their way, they weren't playing their game, and they got right back to form there in the third and closed out with an electric performance.
Yeah, they were up, scored, I think, 3 in the second and then 5 more in the third, and just, all guns a-blazing, as it were, and that led to the sweep for the Caribou Cougars as they maintain their single-point lead on first place in the BC Elite Hockey League. Good weekend for them, and you want to start things off on the right foot heading into that ultra-competitive Circle K tournament in Calgary, which the Cougars will be traveling to on Boxing Day.
Yeah, and I think it was really encouraging to see the likes of Jack Tidsbury, Nick Gordon really finding their game and elevating this weekend, gaining that confidence. Jack Tidsbury notably, had a really hot start to the season, then kind of had some struggles at the midway point of the first half. And really in the last couple of weekends, he's been playing some of his best hockey as a U18 Caribou Cougar. And I think this weekend he was one of the major factors in this doubleheader.
Yeah, and he's one of those, I don't want to say depth pieces, but one of those top 6 guys that Tyler Bruff leans on, and might not get the publicity like a Jackson Larman, Grady Gustafson, or what have you, or even Rylan Bissett for that matter. But he's an important piece down the stretch for this Caribou Cougar team, and somebody that's going to be asked to contribute in more of the ways than one come clutch time here. And it's good for Jack to, able to get some more offense and get rewarded for his opportunities and his strong play as we head towards that big tournament.
Yeah, and another player that had a starting weekend here was Miller Tedesco. He had multiple goals here in the 10-2 slammer in the CN Center this morning. And I think and notably, we're talking about a lot of these guys who are playing more of a depth role, but they they possess a lot of skill and a lot of ability to be dominant players in their roles and slide up and down the lineup. And I think if you're Tyler Bruff, head coach, and RJ Barra and team, you're going to be looking at an encouraging sign from your squad as you prepare for this really important tournament.
Yeah, and you need to have all your guys kind of rowing in one direction. You have to have that buy-in because the teams of that tournament are way too good to take a game or a period off, and it could cost you. Now, I believe the original standing system is back, so I think that'll fit the Caribou's favor. But it's a chance of a lifetime for a lot of these kids. Caribou has won it before, thanks to the heroic goaltending, of course, of Griffin Outhouse in the final there, and Chase Dubois with the winner. But it should be a fun time for the kids, and I know that we're going to be rooting for them hard, albeit from a distance. Of course, not the only team in action this weekend. We talked about Northern Capitals getting a split on home ice, 4-0 loss on Saturday, followed up by a 4-0 win on the Sunday. And, while things didn't go their way in the opener, welcome back to players like Matty Nish, a pair of goals in that 4-0 win. You had Bateman, Gabriella Meyer touching up with singles as well. So the Northwestern part of the province well represented in that win, and obviously sending the Caps home happy after the first half of the season is now complete.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good weekend overall, I think, for the Caps. That they had a lot of shots and a lot of opportunities there on the Saturday game. They did lose that one actually 4-1. Matty Nish did get the lone goal for the Caps in that game, and really, from the looks of it, a really stellar performance by the Thompson Okanagan netminder. And of course, heading into the Sunday game, the Capitals continue to elevate their play to get themselves a split.
Mm-hmm. And it was just nice to see that the Caps maintained their hunger, didn't let, a not so good finish by their standards kind of deflate them. So it was nice to see them pick themselves off the mat and have a really good effort here on the Sunday morning.
Very well said. And the U17s were on the road. They were playing the U17 AAA Thompson Blazers in Kamloops, and they came out with weekend sweep as well over the Okanagan. So really good to see that there for the U17s, who have been really hot as of late and still battling a lot of unfortunate injuries on that roster. They have a lot of APs that have suited in for them game in, game out. And I think a lot of their APs have been a really big factor in them to be able to build this momentum, maintain it, as well as the growing chemistry of the returning players on the team.
Yeah, and of course you have two good goalies in Matthias Ramos-Gadbois and Ivan Anderson, and they're going to have to carry the mail as players such as your Liam Elstad's out again. He had that unfortunate injury in the Saturday game. Going to have to obviously get reevaluated for that, so we wish Liam the best in regards to that. But nice to see the U17s get some momentum after maybe a missed opportunity to sweep last weekend home against Vancouver Northwest. But 3 out of 4 aren't not too shabby for the U17s, and we're happy to see them at least try and climb up the standings here heading into Christmas. Then, of course, the U15s, not the result they were looking for out in the Lower Mainland, dropping both games to the Vancouver Northwest Hawks.
Yeah, so on the Saturday night, it was for the most part, talking with the team, it was a very good start. They had the lead there in the start of that game. Unfortunately, near the end, the Hawks did come back. They regained the lead and ended up winning that game, and then carried that momentum into a 3-1 win over the Cougars on the Sunday morning. Short bench for the U15s this weekend, so I think this is going to be a big break needed for this team to rejuvenate, get rested, and come back for a big second half.
Yeah, Cougars are still second, although the standings a little bit tighter now, second through fourth. So Caribou, refresh, readjust, and have that strong stretch run that we know this team is capable of.
That is true. And let's head on to our Northern Athlete Update.
Northern wrap up here, of course. A lot of these junior leagues at their Christmas break, both as well as the university leagues, as we'll go through it right now. Western Hockey League, Cameron Schmidt, 24 goals on the season for the Vancouver Giants, 38 points in 26 games. Caden Brown, 15 points in 25 games split between Regina and Everett. Leighton Feist, who we had on this show earlier this year, 16 points in 30 games for the Kamloops Blazers. Miguel Marcus, 33 points, 25 games for the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Gavin McKenna, 60 points in 30 games starting for the Medicine Hat Tigers. David Hoy, the Portland Winterhawks, 3 points in 26 games. David Hoy, of course, out of Fort St. James. Tanner Mollendijk, also of Team Canada, point per game guy for the Saskatoon Blades. Evan Gardner, his teammate of Fort St. John, 13-7, 2-0, 2.85 goals against average to go along with a .909 save percentage. Colton Garrier, 7 points in 25 games with the Seattle Thunderbirds. Smith Redmond, he was our guest last week, 23 points in 32 outings, starting with the Spokane Chiefs. Chase Harrington, his teammate, 23 points in 33 games down south. And, of course, Terrell Goldsmith out of Fort St. James, 10 points in 27 games on the season for the Tri-City Americans. To the BCHL now, Brady McIsaac, 29 points, 29 games for Albany Valley. His younger brother, Kenyon, 8 points in 26 games for the Bulldogs. Lyndon Macau, he's now on long-term injured reserve, 10 points in 22 games for the Prince George Spruce Kings. Mason Lowen, 8 points, 16 games for Prince George. Carter Hesselgrave, 6 points in 26 contests for the Spruce Kings. Brody Martin, PG product, 1 assist in 15 outings with his hometown Junior A club. And, of course, Ryder Green, 3-7 on the year, 3.75 goals against average, 881 save percentage. Callis Pierce of Prince Rupert, 9 points in 24 games with the Trail Smoke Eaters. SJHL and the MJHL, Reed Arbery, 8 points in 19 games this season with the Flin Flon Bombers. Landon Alexander, pointless in 6 contests with Flin Flon. Josh Sale, former Caribou Cougar, 12 points in 28 games on the season in his first SJHL season with the Humboldt Broncos. Merrick Mamek, Josh's teammate, 19 points, 25 games with the Broncos in his second SJHL season down in Humboldt. Owen Wilkinson, 3 points in 20 games with the Ronge. Tyson Matthews, 3 points in 26 games with the Ice Wolves. MJHL now, Decker Moinchin lighting it up there with the Portage Terriers, 27 points in 30 games. Scott Cousins, 10 in 20 with the Terriers. And their other teammate and former Caribou graduate, Will McKay, 6 points in 18 games with the Terriers since being acquired from the LaRange Ice Wolves. Kootenay International Junior Hockey League, Jaden Jakubowski, 10-9 on the season with the Columbia Valley Rockies, 3.38 goals against average, .904 save percentage. Prince George's Jasper Tate, 9-0 with the Grand Forks Border Bruins since being acquired from Williams Lake. He's got a 1.96 GAA and a .925 save percentage with the Border Bruins on the season. Keenan Holland, 32 points in 26 games with the Kamloops Storm. Kane Lawler, 3 helpers in 22 games with Kamloops as well. Thomas Clark, Dawson Davis. Clark, of course, a member of the Kamloops Storm, 3 points in 21 games. Dawson Davis now playing on the back end for the Nelson Leafs. He's got 5 points in 25 games for them. Isaiah Bagri, 37 points, 25 games for the Quesnel River Rush. Dean Dietz, 11 points, 23 contests for Quesnel. Liam Richardson, 1 goal, 15 games for the River Rush, while Jackson Heinzelman, 1 assist to speak of in 11 games for Quesnel. Jake Phillips Watts, 16 points, 25 games for Revelstoke. Thomas Boone, 3 points in 16 contests for Revelstoke. Asher Lucas, starting with the Williams Lake Mustangs, 37 and 25. Dawson Ernst, 15 points in 24 games with Williams Lake. Kalen Swanson, their other star young rookie forward, 31 points in 27 games. Noah Piers, 11 and 24 for Williams Lake. Declan Pocock on the back end, 25 and 25. Garrett Feeney, 2 points in 23 games with the Mustangs. Caden Ertz, 6 points in 25 games with Williams Lake. And Logan Houck, since joining over from the Drayton Valley Thunder, 20 points in 15 games with Williams Lake. Pacific Junior Hockey League, we got a trio of Caribou grads on the Chilliwack Jets. Jesse Bordeaux, Merrick Bordeaux, and Peyton Lake Cote. Bordeaux 30 and 34 with the Jets. Merrick 14 and 21, while Peyton Lake Cote 5 points in 20 games and 105 penalty minutes. Ethan Schmid, 12 points in 33 games with the Coastal Tsunami. His teammate and fellow Williams Lake product, Ian Foster, 2 points in 23 games, while Hunter Henry has 3 points in 8 games split between Coastal and Grandview. Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League, Ryland Davis, 17 points, 28 games with the Carey Park Islanders. Caribou teammate Cash Caban, 3 assists in 14 games. Colby Jeffries, 5 points in 31 outings with the Lake Calvin Kraken. Bevan Williams of Prince George, 23 points in 23 3 points in 32 games, rather than with Lake Cowichan. USHL, Diego Johnson of Fort St. James, 15 points in 23 contests with the Madison Capitals. He, of course, is a University of Wisconsin commit. Of course, now taking a look at University, they're all on their Christmas break, so not much change in terms of the stat lines. Jesse Pomeroy, Dane Dubois, Landon Fuller, all playing for the Trinity Western Spartans. Brett Curley, 4 points in 7 games with the Calgary Dinos. Casey Dittner, 8 points in 18 games with Trinity Western. Ella Boone, 3 assists in 12 games for the Spartans as well. Penelope Johnson, 1 assist in 7 games with Red Deer College. Cameron Ward, 4 points in 11 with the Queens as well. Abby Bryant, 10 points in 13 games with the Nate Ooks. She's paired up with Keegan Gooley, another former Northern Capital grad, 8 points in 8 games there. Brophy Dunn, 4 assists in 12 games with Nate. Jackson Hassman, 7 points in 12 contests with the Nate Ooks. And Blake Astorino, 2 points in 5 outings with Nate as well. Carter Yarish, 12 points in 11 games with Portage College. John Harrington, 11 and 18 with the Lake Superior State of the NCAA. Brooke Disher, 5 points, 19 games with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Haley Armstrong, 6 goals and 8 points with Bemidji State. Jessa Brewer, 3 assists in 11 games with State on the Year. Lindsay Gonsalves, 3 points in 10 games with the Trojans. Sage Knorr, 4 points, 10 games with the Medicine Hat College. Rattlers, Anna Stewart, 4.69, GAA in 5 starts. And she's first in the ACAC in minutes played, starts, games played, and saves, all with the Rattlers. And of course, last but certainly not least, the Jandrick brothers, Stephen and Chris. Stephen, 28 points, 34 games with Luko of the Finnish Elite League, and his younger brother Chris, 17 points, 19 games with the Trois Rivières Lions of the ECHL. He also has 1 helper in 2 games with the AHL's Laval Rocket.
Thank you, Brendan, for the Northern Athlete update. And this week on Hockey North Weekly, we do have Northern Capitals defenseman, the Cecil Lake product, Staysha Hiebert.
Yeah, Staysha, had a chance to chat with her during our first season of Hockey North in her 15-year-old year. Had a chance to do it again in an absolute great chat with the 17-year-old there out in the Peace region. Talked about a lot of things, including a couple of milestones that she reached with the Northern Capitals, as well as her commitment to the University of Windsor Lancers. So, of course, congratulations on that from us here at Hockey North on the commitment to Windsor. And without any further ado, here is our chat with Staysha Hiebert. With me now on this episode of Hockey North Weekly, Staysha Hiebert of the Northern Capitals. Staysha, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Staysha, you're in your final season with the Northern Capitals. It's been 4 years now with the program for you here in Prince George. Has it seemed like it's all flown by really fast?
You know what? Yes, it has. I didn't think it would, but I can't believe I'm here already. Yeah.
Obviously, your team above the 500 mark is starting to get a little bit more consistency in the team play. How do you feel the team is heading into the Christmas break, and where do you feel you're at?
I think we're coming off of a pretty good last couple weekends. I think we had a couple weekends off, which were nice. Some good weeks of practice, pardon me. So I think we're excited to finish off this year against the Lakers, and then heading into next half, I think we're pretty pumped about where we're at in standings and everything. I think we're excited mostly.
And of course, not too far into the new year, you'll be participating in the Winter Classic in Fort St. James. I'll be there with the Caribou Media team and such for that weekend. What's it like to get to be able to participate in that again?
Oh, it's pretty cool. It's something I look forward to every year. I don't think a lot of players get to experience something as neat as that. The community and being outside is really awesome. We're looking forward to it.
Now, this is obviously the last one for you because in your last season with the Caps, so this has a little extra special meaning to it along with the graduating players this year. But out of the couple that you've played in before, What do you remember most about it? Well, what kind of made that whole experience very enjoyable?
Oh man, I think the community gathering to come watch, everybody standing outside even though it's really cold, and getting to go in that little dressing room that's heated, I think maybe by a fire, I'm not sure, but just I think the community sense and being outside is pretty memorable for sure.
Does it take you back to maybe some childhood memories being on an outdoor rink and just kind of growing up playing the game? And in your home community, you're from Cecil Lake, and not too far from the Fort St. John area, Peace region, and of sorts. Does it kind of take you back to that at all?
Yeah, definitely. We used to have a rink in our backyard almost every winter. My brother would build it when I was younger, and it was one of my favorite memories for sure.
And speaking of your brother, he's on the coaching staff this year. What's it like to have him on staff this year?
It's actually pretty fun. The girls love him. He's my best friend. We get along, so it's nice having him on the bench. Yeah.
Of course, this being your last year, what do you try and do to mentor the younger players? What do you try and teach them in terms of, either playing the game the right way or just enjoying this part of their journey? Because it's 2 to 4 years for most players. You had the chance to play 4 seasons with the Capitals. What do you try and tell them?
Well, I was a rookie once too, so I try to just be in their shoes. I remember what it's like playing for a brand new team as a first year. So I try to be a positive aspect in their life, I guess, and encourage them and just make it a memorable year.
Yeah. Now you're an assistant captain. Lauren Baker is the captain on this team. I believe you're paired together a lot of times during the game. What's it like playing with somebody that also is part of that veteran leadership core?
Oh, it's awesome. We've been playing together this will be our 3rd season now. We don't play together necessarily as line mates all the time, but we definitely know how each other play, and it's really great being able to work off of that.
Now you play your home games in Kin 2. You played last Sunday in Kin number 1. There's the odd time where you'll be playing in Kin 1 or CN Center, but what's it like to kind of play in that rink? You kind of got the fans kind of in that balcony setting. You got some fans below it. It's kind of unique in terms of just kind of as a player playing in it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely unique. I've grown to love it. It's home for us, I guess, so we've gotten pretty used to it. Yeah.
Now, another really good thing happened for you. You signed a commitment to go to the Windsor Lancers next season. I know the first time we had you on this podcast, you were talking to a couple of schools in your 15-year-old season. I think you were telling me that the U of S were among one of them as well. But just maybe take us through, the process and why you chose Windsor.
Yeah, well, it was a long process, longer than I would have thought at first, definitely. But I guess they had a scout named Hernan who saw me at one of the BCEHL showcases in my 15-year-old season, I believe. He kind of just introduced the university to me, said, hey, this is who we are. He gave me some information and everything. And then I got in contact with the coach. Through email. We talked back and forth for a long time. I asked probably every question there is that you could think of. She asked me a bunch of questions. And then in last year, in November, I was able to go tour the campus, and it was beautiful. It was a nice little school, not too little, not too big. The culture of the team was amazing. I felt welcomed right away, and the coaches were great. So it was a big decision to make. I didn't make it right away after touring the school. I wasn't completely sure that I wanted to go that far away from home. Ontario's quite a ways away, but after thinking about it and getting to talk to my coaches this year, Hayden Barra, I came to the decision to just go for it, and I'm really excited about it.
Did you kind of lean on your coaching staff and your friends and family for advice, or they kind of, I don't want to say deferred back to you, but put the ball back in court and say, hey, this is your future, your decision. You should be in control of it?
They were definitely there to help me all the way through. I think it was my decision at the end of the day, but they all gave me their advice and their little bits of information. That was good. And they definitely supported me through the entire thing. Mm-hmm.
We talked about how you were getting offers and interest in your 15-year-old season. I mean, you're talking about 3 years now where you have schools calling you on where you want to commit, where you want to play. Did it ever feel exhausting, or was it kind of fun, kind of that pursuit fun, knowing that you had your pick of schools and you weren't necessarily in a rush to make a decision right away?
I think it was fun for the first 2 years. It was good, and then once I got to my last year, realized that the time was running out, and then it got a little bit stressful. So it was quite a relief to be able to commit this year. But I'll say I'm very thankful for all the opportunities I had in the first couple years. Definitely.
No, you're going back home after the weekend here for the holidays. I guess. What do you like to do during Christmas? What are some of the things that you and your family like to enjoy this time of year?
Mostly we just like being together. Obviously, I'm living away from home here in Prince George, so when I get to go home, it's nice to just spend some good family time. We like to maybe go snowmobiling if there's enough snow outside, and eat cookies and Nanaimo bars. Yeah.
Obviously, we talked about the second half of the season, Winter Classic. Is there any benchmarks or milestones that you want to achieve? I mean, you've already got most points ever by a defenseman, most regular season games played with Northern Capitals. I guess first off, what do those two records mean to you? Obviously, you'd rather win games in the end of the day because it's more team-based, but what does it mean to you knowing that you're kind of in those record books?
If I'm being completely honest, I didn't know they were records to break, so it was kind of a nice surprise. And I was very thankful that I've been able to be here for so long, and be in those record books. It's definitely an honor.
Is there anything in particular, any else, team-wise or personal-wise, that you want to accomplish before the end of the year?
I really want to win a provincial banner with this team. I think we can do it if we keep working hard. And if I'm being completely honest, I would like to score a hat trick at some point in my career. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah. Let's go back now. How do you first get introduced in the game? And obviously, your brother and your family were some of your idols, but was there anybody else in terms of players or coaches that you looked up to or tried to emulate growing up?
Mostly my brother, which you mentioned. Otherwise, I didn't have that many big influences in hockey in my life, but we watched the NHL growing up. My dad loved the Canucks, and I grew to love the Canucks, so I grew up watching Quinn Hughes in the last couple of years, and I try to be like him.
Do you, what's your thought process on the growth of the women's game now? You've got the PWHL, it's in its second full season. The women's game is growing not only in terms of leagues, but in stability and popularity now. Do you almost see now that you have something further to shoot for, if that's something you aspire to do?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't think it was a possibility, and now it is. So that's really neat. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there any women's players from the national teams, or if you watched any games, is there anything that kind of sticks out to you, or somebody that you try and watch?
Sarah Nurse is a pretty inspirational person, I'd say. If I had to pick a player from the PWHL, it'd definitely be her. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know in your area of town, or in your area of the province, there's also another program called, the Northeast Predators. They've gone to Wickfest a couple times, gotten some medals. The last time they were there, they had a silver medal, and I had them on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Do you ever have players from that program, since you're kind of close by and from the area, they kind of ask you questions, if they had any thoughts about, joining the Northern Capitals? Do you kind of compare notes at all ever?
A little bit, yeah. There's some younger players that just in the last couple of years I've gotten to know a little bit through summer camps and stuff like that. And it's pretty nice. I can tell them all about the program here, and I try to talk it up as much as I can because I think it's pretty great. But there's some interest from a good crew of girls coming up in the next couple of years.
What's maybe the thing that you've improved upon the most from your first year to this year?
Oh man, there's there's a lot of things probably I'd like to say I've grown a lot. Yeah, man. I'd say being part of a new team coming in my first year was a little bit scary, and I've grown a lot in I don't know how to word this exactly, but maybe just in my social skills, if that's a thing. But yeah, I've grown in. It's made me more outgoing. And then in terms of the hockey, obviously, it's taught me a lot of work ethic, definitely with our early morning practice schedules and everything like that, and school on top of it. Yeah, those are the big ones.
Do you feel like you've kind of found your voice as a leader and a veteran player the more you played, got experience, and got more comfortable with the league and kind of figuring out what you could do and what you're capable of?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to word that.
Yeah. Now, if you don't pursue hockey past university, is there a certain career path or a certain thing academically that you're looking to pursue?
I'm hoping to get into the nursing program at Windsor. A nurse is something I've wanted to be for a little while now, so that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah. And of course, you mentioned the big move eventually coming here next fall, coming up a few provinces away. We've already kind of done it once, albeit not as far, only a couple hours, but how does going through something similar already kind of help you prepare for something like that?
I can't say I know 100% what to expect going all the way to Ontario, but moving here definitely taught me a little bit. So I'm happy that I did move here first. I think it's prepared me in a lot more ways.
What's your maybe pregame, I don't want to say superstitions, but like your pregame habits or certain things that you kind of have to do to get mentally prepared for a game?
Well, being with the Capitals, we have a song that we play before every game, and it's called Clear Eyes, Full Heart, and that is something that I hope never to lose. I'll probably listen to that before every game at Windsor too. That's probably the main big one. Yeah.
What does it mean to you to see so many players that you've played with over the years, playing, in Alberta, ACAC, St. Medicine Hat College, or even, Canada West, and you have Haley Armstrong playing NCAA. What does it mean to you to have played with so many good players that have gone on to that next level, and what does that say about, the development model here and the success of the program with the Capitals, knowing that you have just as good a shot as anybody else that's worn the jersey to get those same opportunities?
It's definitely inspiring. I think when I first came here, I didn't even know women's hockey in university was a thing. And then seeing girls like Haley and other alumni go places like that was really encouraging for me as a player. And I hope it's encouraging to other players as well to know that it's a possibility. Yeah.
What do you like to do away from the rink to take your mind off hockey, whether it's in season or during the summer?
Oh man, I don't know where to start. I like being outdoors. There's not a lot of time in the winter because of hockey, but I like snowboarding and I like snowmobiling. And then in the summertime, I like to just hang out with my friends. Sometimes we go horseback riding. I like to do art sometimes. But yeah, that's in the very limited spare time that I have.
What about in the summer?
In the summer, I like horseback riding, and oh boy, I like swimming. My friend has a dugout that we like to go to a lot of the time, so I like to just be outside.
All right, so this is a popular question. This kind of gets people every time, but so I'll ask this to you too. So if you were stranded on an island with 3 of your teammates, who would you pick and why?
Oh man. Okay. I think I'd pick Taylor Siemens. I know that, and she would tell you this too, my directional skills are not very good, and I drive her around the city a lot, so she is my GPS when I'm in Prince George, and she would be on the island too. And I just love her as a person. I would probably pick Brianna Hunter. She's a close friend, and she's always entertaining, so she'll keep us, sane probably, keep us laughing. And then, oh man, I'd probably go with Lauren Baker because I know that she'd have her head on straight and she'd keep it fun as well.
Well, good luck the rest of the season. Thank you very much for coming on. And once again, congratulations on your commitment to the University of Windsor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you have it. There is Staysha Hiebert, defenseman and assistant captain of the Northern Capitals, on this week's episode of Hockey North Weekly. That was our chat with Staysha Hiebert here on our Christmas edition of the Hockey North Weekly podcast. We are going to be off for the next week, so no coverage of the two Spruce Kings games against the Nanaimo Clippers. We will pick up after the Christmas break, and a chance for me, Tyler, and of course our man behind the scenes, David Lowen, to get a much-needed break. We've been kind of restarting this since late August. It's now end of December, and a good chance for all of us to recharge and enjoy our families over the holiday break.
Yeah, definitely a much-needed break to spend the time with family and to, catch up on other things around the house, around things in our lives that, often get put on the back burner, to be able to deliver you the best hockey coverage of athletes here in the North. And we definitely hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas with your loved ones. And we will see you here once again in the new year.